Okay. How are you all today? What's that saying? The early bird gets the what? We're not eating worms today, and we're not birds either. But seriously, you will definitely get the benefit of today beyond your belief. So please give yourselves a round of applause for being early. And why is it important? I will start with why is it important to be early. First and foremost, it shows discipline. And if you're really, really going to progress and if you're going to excel, then discipline is something that you must have. A lot of people wonder why they struggle. They wonder why they go through so much stress. They wonder why things don't meet up for them. The reason is discipline is a problem. And so when you are able to discipline yourself, to set time out, to agree on what is important, to show up when you ought to show up, then it would not surprise me if in a couple of years I look back at the people who are in this room and I will see that they've gone very far in life. My life has been a story. I'm an entrepreneur. I started off as a very young entrepreneur. I was an architect at one time. I went to University of Lagos. I studied architecture. But even while I was doing architecture, on the side I was making models. I was doing work for lecturers at the time, going out also to work with architectural firms, doing drawings and drafting for them. Why? Because apart from being a student, it was important that I did things as an entrepreneur that would make money and enhance whatever I was getting from my parents in school. From the day I left school, I was clear on that day that I wanted to work for myself. When my father asked me, he said, "What are you going to do now?" I said to him that I didn't tell him I'd already set up a company. But I'd already set up a company at the time. I'd already joined two of my classmates and we had formed a partnership of 3. I'd already rented an office in Yaba at the time, very close to University of Lagos on Habamacaulay. As far as I was concerned, I was going to start business as an architect immediately. I was young, 21 or 22 at the time. I believed then, very foolishly, but much so, I believed that I knew everything that I had to know about becoming the greatest architect ever. And that everybody would just come flooding into my office in Yaba and I would draw and make plans for the whole of Nigeria. So that's what I believed. Was it wrong to believe that? Absolutely not. But it was a step in where I was going in life. So when my father said to me that, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I'm not going to work for anybody. I'm going to set up my own business and all of that." And he said, "Okay, it's good for you to do that. But it's better for you if you would work first, work for about 5 years, learn with other people's money what it means to run an office, to be an entrepreneur, to take the risks of being an entrepreneur. And after that, then set up your own business." I remember saying to myself when he said that, "What does this foolish man know? I've already done all of this and I'm going to go ahead and do what I wanted to do." But it was a wise saying. To cut a long story short in this introduction, I ended up traveling to Brazil immediately after my project. My final year project was stressful. But I finished it, did my presentation, got on a plane, went on holiday to Brazil, ostensibly to get that holiday and come back and move back into this office that I had set up. And I went to Brazil and I started work there. How I started work is a different story. But let's just say I started work there. Between the time I started work in Brazil and came back to Nigeria and continued in another line totally, now business development in engineering, totally different 2 years later. Between that time and when we then set up Sahara, I found that I had worked for other people for 5 years. I don't know how that happened, but a wise old man had said, "It is better you work for 5 years I had said, what does that old man know? But I found out that I had worked for 5 years before setting up our own company at the age of 27. Now, why was it important, and why is it important that you have this mental picture? To be an entrepreneur takes a lot of guts. The first aspect of it is that it's a hustle. We're talking about financial well-being and how to be healthy as an entrepreneur. The minute you set up your own company, and the minute you are responsible for the salaries of others, from that moment, certain things go away from you. And you need to have the right kind of health for you to be conscious as to what you're going to do. You're now responsible for families. You're responsible for somebody else's life continually. You're responsible for them being able to be responsible for their own families. You're responsible for their paycheck every month. Any idea that comes through that does not become a business that brings in revenue becomes a problem for you. And so certain things naturally will start happening to you. The first is that you're going to lose appetite. Food will become something that is far away. Why? Because your mind is constantly feeding on how you are going to make sure that you succeed. Sleep is going to disappear. Why? You're going to find out that you're working very long hours, Saturday and Sunday, sometimes. Fear is going to become a part of you because you're worried all the time that any mistake that you make is going to be catastrophic. Peace of mind will fly. Now, all of these things become a part of you, and anybody who understands the medical issues of not eating, not sleeping, carrying fear all the time, and not having peace knows that this is a recipe for what? Disaster. So these are things that accompany the lifestyle of anyone who decides that they want to hustle for themselves. So how do you plan for this, and how do you take care of these things? Because many people do this. Many people get up. Many people want the glamour of an entrepreneur. Many people want to be able to own their own businesses. Many people want to be able to travel the world. Many people want to own multinational businesses. And it's true. People do it. I did it. Many others will do it. People will do it. They will continue doing it after me. Many people did it before me. But how did they do it? Because all the things that I said to you accompany the thought. The day you decide that you're going to step into this business, all of these things accompany it. So what is it that you must do for you to be able to succeed as an entrepreneur and stay healthy? Because that's why we're here. Now, there are four types of health that an entrepreneur must have. The first is that you must have spiritual health. The second is that you must have emotional health. The third is that you must have physical health. And the fourth is that you must have mental health. Now, I don't know about the medical aspect of health and well-being, and you will find out by the end of this day. But I'm almost certain that every health discussion that you would have is either going to it's either going to cover one or all four of this. In other words, if you want to be a successful, thriving, global, well-known entrepreneur in anything that you want to do, you must find a way to balance all four. And so, again, I'll use myself as an example if you don't mind. So we started Business 27. All of the things I had said to you were part of what I was doing. The passion for the business was there. It was great. So food did not matter to me. Sleep did not matter. I was pursuing all of these things, and were we making money? Yes. But you will also find out as an entrepreneur that making money is the last thing that you should be thinking about. But one thing was absolutely missing along this journey. In the journey, I found out that peace was gone. And why is that? Because my spiritual life was not where it ought to be. And so by the time I got to 35 years old, I had 33, sorry, I had to have a total restructure of my spiritual life. I had to totally reconnect and turn around what was important. And for the first time in a long time, I had to go back, drop everything, and make God first. The minute my spiritual life turned around and I corrected it, then my life began to take the right side up. So, spiritual well-being, if you want to excel, is important. Now, why is it important to have your spiritual well-being up? The reason why, and the primary reason, is that you cannot know yourself. You cannot know who you are, truly. You cannot determine who you are until you begin to know who you are the way God sees you to be. Now, once you understand who God sees you as, once you begin to see yourself the way He sees you, once you begin to know yourself and where you stand spiritually, then your life begins to have a purpose. Why you are an entrepreneur begins to make sense. Why you wake up every morning begins to make sense. And things begin to take an order that they must take. Number 2, on spiritual well-being. What then happened as soon as I began to turn my life spiritually around is that I now found out that because I now had a purpose, I discovered that the purpose was to serve others, not serve myself. So the business that I was doing was no longer for myself, but everything that I was doing was to serve somebody. Now, the minute you know that you are serving someone else, the minute you know, including your staff, including the people that you employ, the minute you know that you are there to serve others, then your life has a purpose and your spiritual well-being begins to make sense. So you wake up every day knowing that there is somebody out there who is waiting to be impacted by you spiritually. Your service becomes a worship. Your work becomes a worship. The thing you do becomes a worship, and you know you are pleasing God. It says, when asked, what is the greatest commandment? He said, very simple. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your strength, with all your might. Correct? But then he said the second is like the first. What was the second? Love your neighbor as yourself. Just two. Once you understand those two, the first one corrects your spiritual being. The second one gives you a purpose. And that was how spiritually I aligned. Then the next, emotional. What is emotional well-being? Wife, family, those things that you pour your heart out, the things that affect you at an emotional level. What gives you balance? What gives you structure? You must have an emotional balance. Yesterday, I met a young man, a friend of mine with the families, my parents and his parents had grown up together. I've known them since we were all children. 37 years old, and he was saying to me that he's so troubled now because getting married is a problem today. Why is it a problem today? Because everybody he meets now, he's not sure whether they want him for who he is or they want him because of the money that he has. And that everywhere he turns, he's finding that people just pour themselves and they throw themselves at him, so he does not know who is right for him. That it's very hard for him to find a decent person at 37. Now, he's an entrepreneur with an emotional deficiency. And I looked at myself and I was grateful. I'm very grateful. And I said to him, well, it was good that I married early. Now, when I got married at 27. Now, when I did and started having children then, some of my mates then thought I was crazy. Why are you getting married so young? After all, life is open for you. Everybody, you have choices. You can do whatever you like. Go and have fun. Go and play. But as an entrepreneur, one of the things that you need to settle quickly is your family life. You need to have somebody who will stand by you, who will watch your back, who you know is there for you perfectly at all times. There's nothing that has helped me more in my emotional stability than having a wife that not only loves me, has stood by me when I had nothing, and she was the one that was providing, till when I now have, and I have to be the one that provides. Emotional stability and an emotional well-being is extremely vital if you are going to be a healthy entrepreneur. Now, a wife helps. Children, when they come, give you focus. Because if you used to play around, in other words, your money just used to go anyhow. Just as is it Dr. Ishmael or Mrs. Ishmael? And just as Mrs. Ishmael said, once you have a reason and you are responsible for others, you are going to save. You will save for school fees. You will save for clothes. You will save for a rainy day. You will save by necessity. You will be very foolish for you to know that school fees are coming in September and you are not saving. Have a family early. It helps you focus. You know exactly why you are waking up every day and why you are going out to hustle. As the lady said about building a house when she's about to for the future, it's the same. You are building for a family. You want a home for the family. So emotional stability is extremely important. Wife and children are critical. Entrepreneurs, spiritual health, emotional health. On emotional health, I'll give a second one. Partners. Now, there are different types of entrepreneurs. There are the entrepreneurs that are sole entrepreneurs, and that's fine. You can be a sole entrepreneur. It's fine. But the issue of being a sole entrepreneur is that all the stress is on you. You have nowhere else to turn. Any mistake you make is your mistake. But if you're going to be an entrepreneur and you want to make sure you have your balance, then have partners. What do partners do for you? They help you when you're down, they are up. When they are down, you are up. When you are going to make it the same boat, you can bounce off your decision. There were three of us that set up the company, and at all times, there was always a way for you to find an emotional balance with the partners in your business, because you knew that you were all taking the same risk. And your decision alone was not the only decision to go. So spiritual things are going to go from you. Food, which means that your diet is going to go crazy. You're either not eating at all, or you're eating very late at night, or you're eating irregular hours, or you're just chewing biscuit or granite or something. So when it comes to fasting, you're fasting by force. It's just a normal day of fasting. But that does something to your physical well-being. For risk. You're not in it. To normal people, you must be mad. But when you take the risk, And when that idea goes bad, you have to be able to take it, shake it off, get up, and continue. Other people will commit suicide. You are not allowed. So check yourself physically. When I was much younger, every 2 years, I would go and do a full physical. And just come out, okay, you're all right. You might be deficient a bit in maybe vitamin D. They will be, why are you not going out into the sun? And then you realize that, yes, because you're always inside. Because you are not walking around. But there is something that they will tell you that will make a difference to you. But don't die from the silent killer called hypertension because you did not check. Make sure you check yourself. That's physical. What else can you do physically that you must do? Exercise. Many people take it for granted, especially entrepreneurs. Again, I'm speaking from experience. The work hours are long. You are tired. You sleep late. You wake up early. You have to go for a meeting. You are maximizing that little sleep. 4 hours, 5 hours. You maximize it today. Then you have to get up. Then you have to pray. If your spiritual life is up, and then you are taking off. Physical exercise is the last thing that you have power for. But discipline means that you must do it. And now, in today's life, there are exercises on apps that take 7 minutes alone. 7 minutes. So just in case you think I'm lying, so please take this 7 minutes workout. That's what it's called, 7 minute workout. Very easy. And within 7 minutes, I guarantee you can try it. I have it on my app. I can give any one of you here just for 7 minutes. Come and do it. You will find out that within 7 minutes, you will know whether you are healthy or not. Within 7 minutes. But there's a 7 minute workout. The same workout can give you 14 minutes. The same workout can give you 21 minutes. But even if it's 7 minutes alone that you can do, it will help you. If you can do 20 minutes every day, you are excellent. But do it at least 3 times a week. Do a physical workout. It will help. The last, so that was physical, right? All right. The last type of health that you must take as an entrepreneur is mental. Now, what are the mental things that you must do as an entrepreneur? 2. The first, keep a journal. Just write. It's one of the best stress relieving attitudes that you can do. There are 2 types of journals that you can keep. You can keep what you call a spiritual journal, which is what I do. I keep 2 types. Keep a spiritual journal, which is a thank you book. Just thank you, gratitude book. The simplest that you can do at the end of every day. End of every day. You just get your book. That is your prayer for the night. You just thank God for the things that He gave you that day. The business meeting, the people you met, the impact you made, whatever. Just thank you. Just write it. That gratitude helps you pour out mentally. It's keeping your mind active as to what you did during the day. That's one. Another thing is just planning your day. A journal, simple journal. I'm going to do this. These are the things that I have to do today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you do it. Either way, either gratitude at night or the planning during the day, any one that you are going to do will help. Writing, very important. When you go to, there's something about writing. I use computers, I use iPads, I use phones. I can do all of those things. But there's something about writing in freehand that is therapeutic. So I go to meetings with a notebook. And when I'm at the meetings and you're talking, I am writing physically. Write. It helps you. There's a connection between your mind and your hand doing this that is healthy. It exercises your mind. Write. Second, read. Mental exercise. Read. Write. read a book, write, read a book, write, read a book. Continue doing that. Now, we take it for granted when we're young. We take it for granted when we're middle-aged that these things are okay. Until you begin to see people start to lose their mind. They start to lose their memory. Why? Because your mind is almost a muscle as well. You must exercise it and you must keep it constantly moving. I met an 84-year-old man yesterday who is about to write yet another book on history. At 84, he's mentally agile, physically strong. Why? Because he still has a purpose to give. Baba Obasanjo did a PhD. I think he graduated, he got his PhD last year or 2 years ago. When I was asking him, why are you still going for a PhD and all of that? He said, you have to always keep your mind agile. Keep it active. Keep it active. So that's it about mental. Now, the second about mental that you must do. So I said, write, read a book, write, read a book. Keep it active. The second is find an escape valve. What's an escape valve? Remember that the pressure, you're like a pressure cooker. Remember that. An entrepreneur is like a pressure cooker. You're packing pressure. You must find something that allows you to release steam. What is it? I don't know what helps. To some people it's dancing, dance. To some it's singing, sing. To some it's running, run. Whatever it is that allows you to release pressure, do. When pressure is high on me, I get on a bike, motorbike, power bike, and I ride in Lagos. Why does that help me? Because your mind cannot think of anything else. If you think of anything else, you are crashing. So you just stay focused on riding. You can't think of business. You can't think of anything. You just ride. You forget all the stresses and you come back. If I go abroad, I will go on, what are those things called? Roller coasters. Anything that will pump my adrenaline and take it away from stress, I will do. What is your release factor? Find it. Do it. It might be meditating, that's fine. But find something that you can release your tension with. Now let me close. Every entrepreneur must have a purpose in life. There must be something that keeps you going every day. And I can assure you that you will think that it is making money. You will find out very quickly that it has nothing to do with money. So what you need to do is find those things that help you go every single day. A speaker one day was speaking and he talked about 5 big things. What are the 5 big things that you can do consistently? And when he said those 5 big things for me, it made a difference. And I wrote them down and I said, you know what? These are my 5 big things. These are the 5 big things that I will structure my life around. Number 1, for me, I don't know what it is for you, but for me, number 1, I said, be humble in all things. That no matter where I find myself, no matter what I find, no matter what I'm doing, humility must be number 1 for me. Number 2, I decided that no matter where I go, no matter where I find myself, I must never be the problem. I must always be the solution. Always. Number 3, I decided that I must influence and impact the next generation wherever I find myself. Once I see somebody who is of the next generation, either by my lifestyle, what I say to them and all of that, I must impact the next generation. My life must impact the next generation. Number 4, that anywhere and any place I am, I must make a difference in somebody's life. Somebody's life. I cannot and I will not wake up any day that somebody's life has not been changed because they met me. Doesn't matter where. On the plane, walking around, at play, somebody who comes in contact with me on that day must live better for meeting me. And number 5, that above all things, any day I wake up and sleep, God must be number 1, and He must be everything to me. Those are my 5 big things. Put God first in everything that I do, impact a generation, impact at least make an impact to somebody's life every single day. Be the solution and not the problem in all that I do. And be humble in everything that I do. Thank you. I hope you can find your 5 big things.